Every other time with Eric, a special episode today. We have quite interesting fella, controversial some would say, a change advocate. Ladies and gentlemen, Morara Kebaso is in the building. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
So whenever I'm waiting for a guest, because contrary to popular belief, I shoot from home, as you've seen.
Yes.
So I always wait in the living room and I can see the view of the parking.
Yes.
And I saw you pulling in. I'm like, this must be him.
Yeah.
And you move around with security.
Yes.
Is this because your life is in danger? Or what is your life like right now?
I have a lot of security risks. And sadly, they are not just from government. We have also, enemies or people who want to cause harm outside government. We have contractors of projects that I visit. We have people in the opposition. We have rivals. We have even just passionate people who are just passionate about their leaders, and maybe I didn't say something that is impressive or something that will make them happy about their leader. So risks sahi ni mingi sana. So for that reason I can't avoid security. Hata ukikuja kwangu there is heavy security protocol, but that is just to make sure that I'm safe, and also they help to control the crowds whenever I'm in public. Let's say shopping malls, stages, market centers, they help control the traffic.
Have you had any hair-raising moments so far since you came into the public light? Have you had any moment where you felt for real today, maybe my life was under threat, literally?
Yeah, many times. There's one time when... First, there's a time when the DCI came for me. You know how they used to come in unmarked vehicles?
Subaru.
Yeah, in unmarked vehicles, and then they don't even have a uniform. So you're not even sure that you're being taken by DCI. If you are confident that it is the police who are arresting you, then you know that you'll have your lawyers and you'll have your cash bail and you'll have your day in court. But these people come like raya when you're mebeba bunduki. So you don't know whether it's your opponent who is abducting you, it's your business rival, are you being abducted to be taken to the police station or to be killed? And the only thing I told them is if they're going to cause harm to me, then they should give me an opportunity to talk to my family. But luckily I ended up at Nairobi area police station. Then later I was taken to DCI headquarters. Then I was moved at night to Kiambaa police station. Now I thought, now they are going to finish me for sure, because the way they are moving me through police stations, it doesn't look good. They took me from there, they took me towards Makutano.
Is that really a psychological?
I think it's psychological. Warfare. It's like they are trying to break you by making a lot of things run through your mind so that you see your life is over, so that whatever they want from you, they get quickly. Then they brought and put me in Kamkunji police station. So that's one time. There's a time I got a suspicious accident in Embu, where, a vehicle hit me and the driver disappeared. Who causes an accident and leaves their vehicle and disappears? It's told to the police station, they never show up. You go to check the number plate of the vehicle, you find it's linked to a company. You go to check the directors of the company, none of them can be traced, none of them are available. So it was a very suspicious accident. I didn't find it to be an accident with a normal accident. Unajua kama tumegongana, tunaweza keti tuelewane, ama tuende station, tuweke kesi, nini vitu kama hiyo. Person did not show up complete, disappeared. To this day the vehicle is still at the police station, Runyenjes.
And not to invoke post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm not trying to get you to have flashbacks, but not ambiguously, what is literally happening in your mind when you're being moved around? What is that like?
Well, at that point, the memories of my grandfather and great-grandfather came to my mind. Then the memories of my children. I really love my children. So I could see him, you close your eyes and you can see your very happy daughter, who is always very happy during her birthdays, who is always telling you about her new friends at school. My son, my family, I'm thinking about, this is what happened to my grandfather, George Morara, Honorable George Morara the late. This is what happened to Senator John Kebaso. And I'm saying, well, it seems history repeats itself. So you are resigning to fate at that point. You're saying, sasa, kama itafanyika, this is the best I could do, ishafika. And that also happened when I was in Narok. There's a time we were attacked in Narok by, armed goons that were sent by the governor of that county. And they chased us, and they were shameless. They chased us with a county vehicle.
Wow.
Prado ya governor yenyewe. They were chasing us, they were shooting in the air, they were throwing crude weapons at us. And they mobilized over 100 pikipikis. And they didn't tell them it's Morara they are going to attack. They gave them money and told them kuna wezi wa madawa ya hospitali. Wanakuja kuangalilia Ololulunga Hospital, wanakuja kuiba madawa. Tuwangoje hapa. So when I left Ololulunga Hospital kufanya Vampire Diaries, natokea kwa barabara, I find a blockade. Unaona kama kwa Game of Thrones vile unaonanga the army of the dead pale juu. I saw people who look like the army of the dead. Eh? Hi.
Boda guys, eh?
It was not even my driver who was driving. It was my best friend. He is also the Secretary General of Inject Party. He's called Solonka Pareno. So it's him being a Maasai, he knows how things go. So when we saw it, we didn't even ask each other, what is that? No. We made a very fast U-turn. By the time we are U-turning, pangas have been thrown to us. They are piercing through the windows. We made a quick U-turn. Then we started now driving. Now we had radio calls in every vehicle. So we had 3 vehicles. So we are trying to radio the rest to see if they are catching up. But you see, other vehicles were not fast as like ours.
Yes.
So one of the vehicles hit a pothole. And there was a tire burst. Pa! And na wanakimbizwa. So wakashuka. Hapo kando kuna fence ya forest imefensiwa na stima. They had to jump that fence. Others sprained their legs. Others got injuries. Then the ones who were in front of them, who are behind us now, when they heard that those ones have, they have had a tire burst, they turned around to go and help them. Then turning around, the car swerved and it went into a ditch. So they had also to alight and jump.
And run.
So many people got injuries. One of the ladies called Shiko, she got an injury. The people even threatening, they will rape her. There's even a guy who was my research assistant. He's called Dalian Smudune. He got a very deep cut. He was hit on the head and he had to be rushed to Ololulunga Hospital, where we had just come from Vampire Diaries, to get stitched before we could take him to Tenwek Hospital. It was dangerous. We ran, tulikimbia na gari, tukaingia kwa boma fulani ya Wamasai. We explained to them what is happening. These Wamasai farmers. So wakachukua ile tandarua ya kuanika mahindi.
Yes.
They covered our vehicle. Then wakatuingiza kwa nyumba, wakatuficha. And that's how we were able to communicate to police, get to the nearest police station. We knew that these people had the blessings of the police, because see, the governor being very powerful within the county, he knows the county commissioner, he knows the police command and everyone. So we didn't want to just go to any police station. But this time around we were lucky. The police station that we found a very good OCS. So he told us he cannot radio or call his fellow police officers, because these are powerful people. You can't know who is involved. He'll just give us police escort up to somewhere where we are safe, then we can escape.
That's such an interesting start to this conversation. Yesterday when I landed, my best friend called me. I told him I was having Morara tomorrow on my podcast. And of course he was concerned for my safety, because we're touching on things that involve powerful people. So an incident like that doesn't make you want to change your mind. That sounds straight out of a movie.
Let me tell you, Eric, but I don't even know what's wrong with me, by the way. Honestly, I don't, because by all standards of common sense, I don't know why I'm still doing this.
Anyone would be genuinely fearful.
For sure, especially if you're not doing it for money or for power or for land or for any benefit. If you're just doing it for change, you have a comfortable bed, a comfortable home where you can go sleep. You have kids. You are lucky to have some. You have food at home. You have a company to run. So, ukiniuliza kama najua jenye nafanya, sometimes I also ask myself whether I know what I'm doing.
So I remember Morara Kebaso came to the spotlight hot on the heels of the Gen Z movement with the Vampire Diaries. It was very engaging. It was new. It was fresh. It was, Kenyans love expose. Expose. And you really gained a lot of traction and the love of the people. Up until at some point, people found out you're a man of means. And people kind of were now confused. People like, Kako na do, he looks like a young guy. How does he have money?
Yes.
So how was that? How have you been able to survive?
Yeah,
when you kind of lost the trust of the youth, you seem to be gaining it back with the rhetoric that you're speaking right now. I've watched a few of your previous interviews. What you're saying is resonating sana with the people right now. But there was a time where there was a
loss of
mismatch.
trust.
Yes.
I'll answer your question in two ways. There are many reasons. One of the reasons is the lack of self-belief and lack of self-esteem. Most of the young people are going through a very hard time. Most of them have gone to school, they've sacrificed a lot. Parents have sold land, they've sold cows. These people have went to university and they've never succeeded, probably as much as Morara succeeded. Then when they listen to my story and they find out that I didn't even come from a rich family, in spite of my grandfather being an MP, he was an MP in the 80s. Okay, so that was a very long time. And he never left any inheritance for us. In fact, he was like me. So he never acquired or amassed wealth. He just died a poor man. So when people look at me, they wonder, how am I an exception to the rule? Because when a young person is looking at themselves, then they look at me and my story, they are like, bana, watu si wajinga, usitubebe hivyo. But you see, Kenyans need to understand my story. And I did a podcast with Lynn Ngugi, your colleague. If they go back to that podcast and they just listen to my story, where I began. I started working even when I was not legally allowed by the law to work. I started working at the age of 16. I was washing dishes at a hotel. I came and became a salesman for salt. I've worked as a teacher for mathematics and physics in a school deep in the slums. I have worked as a waiter. I've done almost everything you can think of. People look at my successful business and they think that's where I began business. I have failed in many, many other businesses. I started a hotel in Kawangware 56. It collapsed. Yeah, there's a time I wanted to be a broker for insurance. I worked hard for almost a whole year and never succeeded. I never got even one client. Yet I went to over 1,000 offices and never got even one client.
We usually run away from... I was also once, briefly, I sold insurance. But even at the airport, when we see insurance guys, hey!
So I've tried things. I've tried to be a broker for land. There's a time when I was in campus, I had a wines and spirit in Kawendani and Kaoskari before I gave my life to Christ at Sita Modley, and I decided this is not the kind of business I want to do. And I just left the business. So I've done many things failing until I finally succeeded. So when somebody hears my story and says, Morara is saying he made his first 1 million when I'm 21, I'm not lying. I did. When I say I bought my dream car at 24, it's true. I bought at that time, my Prado was the dream car. So that I bought a Prado at 24 and I didn't buy it for my own use. I bought it to rent out to people at 10,000 shillings a day.
I must say you have a very beautiful car. We saw it with my producer. A beautiful car. I wouldn't say what car, but amazing.
Yeah, so at 26, I'd bought a home.
How old are you?
I'm 29.
29? Wow, 29. Yeah. You've done, should I pay, you've done well for yourself. Your core business being right now is the furniture?
Furniture. I also do property business in real estate. I also do car rental business. So apart from the issue of self-esteem, there's also the issue of jealousy. You see, there are people who don't feel good when somebody else succeeded, or they want you to give up on your dreams the way they've given up on theirs. So somebody who's given up on their dreams wants you to also give up on yours so that you're together. A friend of mine who lives in the US now usually tells me misery loves company.
That's true.
Yeah, people love, being miserable together. Tusumbuke pamoja. But you see, I'm trying to pull the youth away from that thought that you are limited, you can't do it, you can't succeed. A V8 is for a 40-year-old, a V8 is only for 50-year-old. How would you own such a car at a young age? You must be wash, you must be, Forex or any other thing. Then lastly, on this issue of loss of trust, there's also the input of government bloggers through NIS. Kenyans may not know this, but on paper, the budget of the National Intelligence Service is 42 billion shillings. But in reality, they have a budget of over 250 billion. NIS is supposed to be an information gathering agency. They just gather information and advise government, gather information and advise government. But right now, our NIS is a military. It has a fighting force that is better than Reke Squad, that is better than our special forces in the military. They have equipment that the military has been requesting. For example, the other day they bought them a drone that the military has been requesting the government to buy for them for over 20 years. But the NIS has it. If you drive past the gate for NIS, Pale, I don't know, this Ruaraka, you will see an armored personnel carrier that is like nothing else you've ever seen. Those people have equipment, they are resourced. So even when the Inspector General was saying that he was not the one abducting people, he was not lying. NIS is the one that knew who is abducting people.
And how much of that kind of resource goes to actual preservation of the security of a country vis-a-vis the preservation of a regime?
Most of it goes into the preservation of a regime, because you see how they use this money is they have an army, let me call it an army of bloggers, more than 100 people. It's like a big cyber cafe. People are seated from here paka huko.
A call center.
It's like a call center of a very big company. So they have bloggers. These bloggers are being paid. Each has about 20 accounts on every social media platform. So mtu mmoja ako na akaunti 20 za Facebook, ako na akaunti 20 za X, ako na akaunti 20 za TikTok. And they just name it any name. Na wanachukua malines kutoka Safaricom mobile lines za kufungua accounts. So they wanafungua accounts, they follow each other. You find somebody has 1,000, 2,000 followers, 500 followers, because these accounts are following each other. So if 100 people each has 20 accounts, these are 2,000 people on social media.
Yes.
So what they do then is when they see a young leader come up, and this is not just going to happen to Morara, even to other young leaders who will try to come up and challenge the regime knows that their biggest danger is the young people. So you will find fake accounts flooding your comments, and they will be saying things like, where tulikuanga tunakuamini, nowadays we don't trust you, because what they are doing is they are shaping opinion. Watu wakiwa pale kwa comment wanasema nyewe mtu ame lose trust ya watu.
That's a very unique phenomenon, and I've noticed it even with my platform. I'm not talking about, for me now, government bloggers. I'm talking about groupthink. So someone will shape their opinion by reading the comments before watching an episode, and I find that so strange. People are so quick to have that groupthink.
Yeah.
So it's so easy to manipulate if the case. But the question would then be, why is it that you have this information? Why is that you seem to know quite a bit about the inner workings?
I know a lot. Kenyans don't know this. They think I started politics in 2024. I've been in the backyard of politics, playing behind the scenes for the last 10 years.
Expound on that a bit.
You see, when I finished my Form 4, I worked as a waiter at a hotel. One of the first jobs I was given after being a waiter at the hotel was in the office of the governor of Kisii County Government. So I began my exposure and interaction with politics. I went to university. I was a student leader. Student leadership involved sometimes working with union leaders and even working with politicians. So some of the politicians you see today, I knew them a long time ago. You will see pictures of me 9-8 years ago with Kina Evans Kidero, with Kina Professor Sam Ongeri, with Kina Mike Sonko. You've seen that one. So I started interacting with them a long time ago. In 2017 election, I was even contracted together with someone called Dr. Monari from Kenyatta University Business Incubation Center, with other student leaders like Wakili Kebaso Mike and Daktari Bogonko and many others. We sat down and drafted a youth campaign strategy for Jubilee. We drafted for them a campaign strategy on how they will reach the youth. So I've played on the back scenes of presidential politics and many other things and electoral politics for quite a while. I've been in very active participants in political parties. I spent my help, 20,000, because when I really believed in ODM, to buy ODM life membership. You can imagine a young person spending his help to buy a life membership.
So you're still
of ODM.
A current registered life member?
No, I resigned. See, I came to know what ODM is, and I came to know how much it stifles the ambitions of young people by commercializing politics. In fact, my biggest problem with ODM was 1, violence. 2, there's a lot of views of violence to manage politics. Then 2 was how they commercialize tickets and leadership in a way that if you don't have money, you're not going to get a ticket to be an MCA, to be an MP. So it's a reserve of the rich. So you will stay down.
I'll take it a step further, and this is just my opinion. I'll say they've even managed to create what I'd call intellectual mercenaries by way of people like Edwin Sifuna. I mean, brilliant debater, but it's always for a specific narrative.
Yeah.
And he can, there's no one who he cannot debate
It's very
down.
cultic.
You know, so of course that's something we've observed. But you came when you came to the mainstream scene, you came swinging. And you came for the jugular in a time when things were so hot, you know. What gave you that battery in your back? You know, you came there and you're talking directly to the president, you know.
Me, I believe life is a game of confidence. That's number one. It's for the confident to get into the room and pick. Number two, I knew that I'll not be always at the top and I'll not be always enjoying the airwaves. At some point, this natural, organic kind of thing will have died down, because Kenyans, you know, their excitement and things, you know, they change their taste very quickly.
Our attention is...
Hata ngoma ikitokea inavuma 1 month, it's done. You get it? So I said, how do I sustain this? And the first thing I told myself is I'll need to be consistent. Number two, I need to make sure the Vampire Diaries remains factual and is never a political weapon. Because the moment you politicize it or make it a political weapon, or you start saying lies through the Vampire Diaries, it takes only one lie for people to doubt all the truth that you've ever told them.
Absolutely.
Tell one lie and all your truths will become questionable. So I said, I'm going to get researchers, we're going to sit down. There are many things that we know that sometimes we don't even say, because we don't have enough facts to back up what we are going to say. So we just avoid saying it, because we will be challenged to give more information, then we will be left at crossroads. But what we know, what we have facts, what we have figures, and what we can refer even to official documents or whatever, iyo tunasema bila uoga. Then I've also been assisted by people. It's not good to not remember them on this show, because it's not been purely my hard work. I've also been assisted by Kenyans, either by way of contribution, you know, people sending you 150 bob. It helps you sustain the battle. It helps you move more. It helps you keep it up. Number two, people giving me information. There are people who are in government who give me information privately. They tell me, Morara, sasa si mimi unajua mimi niko kwa serikali. Sitaki kwa mwaga unga. Sitaki kuharibu kazi.
The motive of the government officials giving you this information is they want a better Kenya? Is it coming from a genuine place?
70% want a better Kenya, 30% want to do vendetta. So some are just angry, probably because they were thrown under the bus on some deal, or they were never given their kickback in some deal, so they decide to spill the beans. Others just are in government, they earn a genuine salary, they are professionals, their job is to just do their job, but they are not happy with how things are going. You know, not everybody in government steals. This government has over 1 million workers. Not everybody is a thief. In fact, some of us, even our parents, are government employees, and they do a stellar job, an exceptional job, but they are frustrated, they are angry at the state of governance in our country. My mom, until recently, last year, she was working for Kisii County government. Then, of course, when I started opposing the government and doing Vampire Diaries, even sometimes targeting the Kisii County government and the use of public funds, she started experiencing, you know, threats. She started experiencing bad attitude at work. She's even being transferred from here to there. She has not even sat a minute. She's transferred from there to here. She kept receiving letters. Her requests for leaves were not being accepted. Whenever she wants to go on leave or request something that she would get on an ordinary day, she does not get. Until she got to some point, she got frustrated and resigned.
Is that a burden you carry when you choose such a course, knowing that not only Morara can be targeted, but also your family? And this could be your nuclear parent, like you said, your mom.
Yeah, of course. People have been targeted because of me in many ways, because of their association with me. Even my business has been targeted. You see, when you target my business, you're not just targeting me. You're also targeting my suppliers who earn from that business. You're targeting my employees who earn a living from that business, and the families that they feed, because most of them are breadwinners. You're also targeting my family now, my wife and children, because this is how I feed my family. And I've been targeted seriously in the business because ordinarily I would not be backdated tax. But here is KRA backdating my tax and saying
200 million or something?
187 or 183 million. They are saying I should have registered for VAT earlier. So they are backdating me to the day when they think I was already qualified, so that I pay taxes from that year coming this way. Then they calculate the tax. They say the amount is 187 million. I should pay them 27 million. And I've been fighting with that fight. When I see people on social media saying, huyu alilipwa na Kasongo, kesi yake hata ya KRA ilianguka, I just hold my head and sangine nasikia kugongesha kichwa kwa ukuta because I don't know how to explain to them that case is still a thorn in my flesh. Even 18 days ago, I was written a tax assessment by KRA. I am sitting with my lawyers every day trying to put our books of accounts together to try and challenge it in court. And you see, sometimes I don't want to talk about the case in social media or in mainstream media because then I make it harder to resolve the case. Because one of the ways of solving the case is through mediation, arbitration. You can mediate with KRA. You can sit down, mpige hesabu, msema okay, nyinyi mnasema ningelipa ngapi? Mi angalia vitabu zangu. Hii hata si okay, lipa hii. Alafu nilipe. Sasa when we discuss it on media and it becomes a conversation that I'm also entertaining or propagating on media, even the KRA person will be seated with me tukifanya hii hesabu will be afraid of public outcry. Even if amepata kwa kweli hii sio tax nafaa kulipa, they'll be like hii itasemekana kwamba kuna kitu nimefanya. So it hardens my case. It makes it even more complicated.
So and I'm going to ask this question two ways because we say corruption fights back, right? But what does a typical Morara family function look like in terms of, are your family encouraging you, pushing you on, or are they like, bro, cheza chini, things were calm, now you've rattled the boat, or are they encouraging the higher calling that you've taken?
Okay, let's begin with my nuclear family. My kids are very excited to see me on TV, except of course when I was attacked in Bomas. I had given specific instructions, watu wa switch off your television ya watoto wasione. But kids are very smart. Na watoto wa siku hizi si watu wa kupangwa, wanaweza kukupangwa, maalfa. So I think somehow they got into the TV and they searched and they saw me being thrown chairs and they were very sad. Some cried. So I think that was a very low moment for them, but they are very excited to see me on TV. My wife supports me mia kwa mia, 100%. In fact, there are many days I want to quit. And she's the one who tells me to keep going on. Mpaka namwambia uoni kitu ile kutusumbua imetusumbua. She tells me maji uliyavulia nguo. Huna budi kuyaoga. So she keeps me very encouraged because there are many times I've wanted to quit, and because of the inconvenience that politics causes, I thought she will agree with me so that we quit together as a family, but she was opposed to it. With regards to my larger family, most of them are very opposed. You see, we have a history of assassinations and deaths in our family.
So that trauma exists.
Senator John Kebaso, the first senator of Kisii, my great-grandfather, was killed by assassination. He was attacked at his business in a butchery by a person who came, all the way from, I don't know, is Muranga or Nyeri, to come and attack him there, and he died. Honorable George Morara, the late, my grandfather, was also attacked in a road accident in Maseno. When his vehicle rolled down the hill and they saw that he's alive, they came and hit him with blunt objects until he died. So since the two died, there has been a clarion call within the family that nobody should engage in politics. So if you near politics, ukikaribia tu siasa, unasikia kila mtu ameambiwa kuongelesha. Everybody saying, ebu ongelesheni huyu mtoto.
And here comes Morara,
your grandma
going
is
direct at the president.
Amuongeleshi huyu mtu. Your aunties are like, lakini so uncles, you are not talking to this guy. And that didn't begin today. It began when I was in campus. I was a very fierce student leader in campus, and it landed me in jail. When I was in jail, the kind of family that I experienced, backlash. We told you. We kept telling you that this politics, wachana nayo. Just do your own things. And I believed them. When I left jail, I didn't want anything to do with politics. I just went on with my life. But somehow again, politics came looking for me where I'm resting. There's a movie called The Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
There's somebody called Captain Barbosa who says, there I were, resting. Upon a sudden, I hear an ungodly row on deck. Sailors abandon their posts. So in the words of Captain Barbosa, there I were resting, doing my business. You know, a normal human being just waking up every day, driving to work, dealing with suppliers, stubborn clients, happy clients. You come back home, you make your money, you invest here, you invest there, buy this property, continue this project, build at home. Then suddenly I'm back again in politics and I'm not being paid for it. You know, I'm not earning a salary. I'm not getting a road contract. You know, people do politics for benefit.
Yes.
Wengi wao. Most do it so that they can get katenda kakujenga hospitali ka 300 million, apate milioni 50, akuwa ameshiba. No, mi sijawahi pata tenda ya serikali, sijawahi lipwa mshahara ya serikali, sijapewa hata public appointment, but I'm still hanging in there. So if I tell you I know why I'm still there, honestly, I know up to like 80% why I'm still there, but there's still 20% of me that keeps asking myself, really, are you still here? Because for me, I believe that I'm not doing the politics of the present. I'm doing the politics of the future. There are people who look at me and they can't understand my mathematics. They want me to do politics based on the reality of the present, not on the dream of the future. The present reality is that our politics is tribal. So the reality of that politics is that I should go to my tribe, mobilize my tribe, stand for a particular position, and then rise and like that. That I should organize on the basis of tribe. But the politics of the future is that tribe will die.
Yes. And I think from the Gen Z movement, it's the inertia or the tide has been turning around, politics shifting from being tribal to being more ideological. But world over, systems fight back. Not just corruption. I remember Pablo Escobar was famous for plata plomo. If you're against me, we buy you or we
kill you.
So what was the first reaction of the establishment to you?
Very rough. Actually, their reaction has never changed. Probably
they've never tried the silver way. Is it always the lead?
No, they've tried the silver way also. I've been approached many times. You know me, I don't lie, and I don't want to, to not say the truth.
Paint us a picture, because the minds of my viewers and a lot of Kenyans, we always wonder, what does that look like when?
You see, there's a time on JKL when I said some truth that people thought is a lie. I told them that I spoke to the president on the phone and they didn't believe it, but it is true. Somebody who knows me, who I'll not mention on this show, they know me back from campus. Tukifanya hizi shughuli za campus and they work the office of the president. One of the young people huko called me and I thought I want to speak to my friend. Then he told me kuna mtu hapa nataka kuongea na wewe. Then when I heard the sound, unajua sauti ya William, ukiisikia tu.
Hello my friend.
Namna gani huko?
At first, were you taken aback?
I was shocked vibaya sana.
Yeah.
I froze. You don't expect him to call you.
Of course, yeah.
Or to speak to him. Yes, you don't imagine that it's happening. So, and you see, for him, at that point, he didn't offer me anything directly. He just said, naona. Serikali ni kubwa. He spoke in parable or idiomatic expression. Hii serikali ni kubwa. Unaweza kuja tukupange mahali, wewe ujilee pole pole. You'll be mentored. Pole pole pia utakuja kupata nafasi yako. Told him, it's okay, excellent, tafikiria. Because at that point you're so confused, you don't even know what to tell him. Yeah. But I knew I will not take that offer. That I was 100% sure. The reason I didn't take that offer is very simple. I'm young. I have a future. He is old and he is going. I'm young and I'm coming. Nikijichafua na serikali ya William Ruto, I'll not embrace my future. I will lose my future at a young age. Hawa watu wote, hawa Kalonzo, Raila, Ruto, in 20-30 years to come, they'll not be here. In 20 years, I'll be 49 years. I'll be still very young. I'll be still be younger than Ruto, you see.
Yes.
In 2027 elections, I'll be 31 years. In 2032 elections, I'll be 36 years.
Still a young tuck.
2032, I'll be still 36. So you see, bado niko na time. So there's no rush to rush into government. People rush into government is if you've not paid your rent, you are behind on your bills, you need the money.
Is there a crude offer of cash? Sometimes we hear rumors of briefcase. Does that exist?
That's not the first time I was offered money. I've been offered money many times. Or if you don't want money, let's give you a contract so that you earn money from the contract. I've had offers here and there. An MP has been sent to me to talk to me. He talked to me, I listened. I told him, sasa unajua pia mimi naongoza vijana. Na vijana nao nikiwafuata pandeo hawatanifuata, so nitakuwa nimekuja peke yangu. Sasa niko na value gani nikikuja peke yangu? Si afadhali wakati nakuja na watu. So hakuna haja ya kuja huko. Rekebisheni hiyo maneno kwa serikali kwanza, streamline things. If you need my advice on how 1 or 2 or 3 things can be done, I'm willing to do it. Lakini kukuja huko hiyo ni kazi bure.
And we've seen publicly, not just even the political sphere, even perhaps in the entertainment sphere, people who have kowtowed and appear to have taken some form of resources to spew a certain narrative. Their stock plummets immediately because you lose the people.
You die. Your dream dies there and then. You see, the reason mine has not died in spite of these NIS attacks and having people online call me a conman and a beggar, the reason I've never died or finished or been deplatformed na nikaisha is because I'm still consistent on the messaging. I'm still consistent on what I do, and I've never failed to do it. Even yesterday, I went to do Vampire Diaries in a place called Seikuru Airstrip.
Yes, in Kitui.
Nje ya nyumba ya Kalonzo Musyoka. Actually, that thing is just outside his gate. In fact, the airstrip was his.
Yes.
It was not for the residents. Ni yeye alikuwa anajengewa. So that thing alikuwa anajengewa with our money. Nje ya kwake tu, I was there yesterday. You see, it's just a rough road. There is no toilet. There is no gate. There is nothing. And 278 million shillings of public funds has been sunk there. And most of it, if you follow the money through the bank accounts, you see where it ends up. Your guess is as good as mine. Yeah.
And one of the reasons I would say I am now personally still very interested. I've been watching your interviews of late. And there's a specific messaging that I really resonate with. And this is around how let's not be conned into thinking that this old guard opposition are real opposition. So we look at the guys who are posturing to try and act like they're the new, we're the new face. And you're talking about the Kalonzos of this world, now they brought Matiang'i, then they're all, and you look at these guys are like, no, you guys have been doing this for 45 years. And we've not seen anything. It just looks like the theater of old,
Yes.
And that's a message that I personally and I think millions of Kenyans, especially young Kenyans,
Yes.
are really resonating with. And this is around the idea of a third force.
Yes.
You've had the privilege of sitting in some of these engagements with this old guard opposition. What are they saying? What are they claiming to say?
Luckily for me, unlike your viewers, I've been in the room. You see, the rest, they hear what we say on the media, what's written on the papers. Me, I've sat with them. And you people only saw one picture of one meeting that we had in some location, private location in Karen. But we've had more than 7 meetings. Most of them were not public. They were very private. In fact, when you come to the meeting, you leave your phone outside. I will not embarrass them by saying things that would, embarrass them, but
of course,
I'll just say they don't have a vision for Kenya.
No ideas.
Whenever you sit down, you're always discussing Wakikuyu wako wangapi, mmeangalia updated register of voters, na hawa Waluya mumefikisha wapi, na hawa Wakisii, how will we get, na this Kurias, na how will we bring, na kabila fulani tutafute so and so wa kabila fulani. It's always about tribal numbers. You see, me as a young person representing Gen Z, that's not even something they think about. Yeah. Tribe is not even a priority on their to-do list.
Absolutely.
So you see, if I'm there as their representative, I'm lost. Niko kwa hiyo meeting, niko like, hapa ni wapi? Na tunafanya, so two people in that room kept saying the same thing. Me and Jimmy Wanjigi.
But I wanted to bring that up because Jimmy has taken a step back from that group.
Same to me.
Because he's like, where's the vision?
Na ujue mimi na Jimmy si ati ni mabeste. Kitu tu ni ati we shared a vision. Kwa sababu Jimmy kept asking, we are calling ourselves the united opposition. What are we uniting for? Are we just uniting to remove William Ruto and replace with another Ruto? What is our vision? We've not even told the people what we'll do about healthcare. First, we've not even told them what's wrong with healthcare. We are always reacting. You see, the opposition is a reactive one. They see, Kenyans are talking about SHA. It's a press conference. Let's talk about SHA. Kenyans are talking about what this time? They're talking about extrajudicial killings. It's a press. Let's do a press conference and condemn. So when I a press conference, the words are we condemn. We condemn. And we ask. And we are telling the Inspector General. But there is no action plan. Nobody is saying that after we condemn, we are going to file this case in court. We are going to do this. We're going to do that.
Is it that they are ideologically void? Is it that they are...
It's because they've been doing this for 30 and 40 years and it's been working.
And is the mission just to get power for power's sake?
It's just for power's sake, for contracts, for money, for business, and for ego. Nothing else. Nobody wants to change. Nobody's even talking about change.
You know, that's one of the hardest pills I've had to swallow because I call it UTU, people call it goodwill. It's so hard to believe that these leaders have no goodwill for Kenya or the future of.
People, whenever I speak about the opposition, people always bring my picture nikiwa nimeketi na wao. And they tell you, si wewe ulikuwa umeketi hapo, si wewe ulikuwa umeketi hapo, as a way of trying to deflate or to dilute what I'm trying to say. I am happy and glad and unapologetic that I went there. Because if I didn't go, I would not be knowing what I know. I'm happy I went there, sat in the room, listened not once, not twice, not thrice, but 7 times. And I was 100% convinced that this is not change before I walked out. Otherwise, I would be crying from outside the window. I would be saying, nyinyi mko huko ndani, mnagawa mkate, mbona sisi hatuingi ndani? I've been in the room, I've experienced the room, I've known what it is all about, and I've left disappointed. And at least now I know. As I chart a new path into the future, I know who I'm dealing with. And the other thing is this. Look at how many times or how long these people have been in government themselves. Somebody like Kalonzo Musyoka, he's 72 years old. He's twice our age. 72 divided by 2 is 36.
36.
I'm not even 36, Bana. So he's 4 times our age. He's 4 times our age. He became member of parliament in 1985. 10 years before I was born. So 10 years before I was born, this guy was already an MP. He's been a member of parliament for 28 years. 28 years. Kuna mtu alizaliwa akiwa mbunge, akaoa na akazaa watoto, ujamaa bado akiwa mbunge. This guy has been assistant minister for the Ministry of Works and Housing for 2 years. He's been the organizing secretary for KANU for 16 years. He's been a deputy speaker of parliament for 4 years. He's been a minister for foreign affairs for 5 years. He's been a minister for education for 3 years. He's been a minister for tourism for 1 year. He's been a minister for environment and natural resources for 1 year. He's been a minister for home affairs for 5 years and a vice president for 5 years.
Hey, Morara didn't come to play. He said facts and figures.
So tell me what this guy can change that he never changed with this much power. Eugene Wamalwa. He's been the MP for Saboti for 5 years. He became a minister for justice and legal affairs. He's been a minister for water.
Water, yes.
He's been a minister for devolution. He's been a minister for defense. Haki. Sasa nini hakufanya?
They've had the chance. But you said something recently that I really liked. You talked about a third force. How do we go about this third force and make it strong enough to actually counter the powers that be and the pseudo opposition that we see?
Kitu ya kwanza, we are living a lie. We are living a lie that the tribal people are more than the tribalists.
I agree with you there.
It's a lie.
I agree with you there.
We have 21,000 voters. I can assure you by my mathematics, the tribalists are 15 million. The tribe are only 6 million. People who, by all means necessary, with civic education without, must vote for a person from their tribe, mpende msipende. Hao watu ni kama milioni 6 peke yake. We have 15 million people are ready to vote for someone outside their tribe as long as that person can offer vision. Now, there's one thing we need to do. We need to come together as the alternative. And we need to be ready to cede our ambitions. Nobody should come with an entitlement that the presidency is theirs. It's not a birthright. This thing is a privilege bestowed upon you by the people of Kenya. Mimi Morara, if I was to sit down with alternatives, people whose vision and, desire for a changed Kenya is genuine, and that if they were given this country, they'll transform it into a Singapore within 2 or 3 years, I'm ready to step down my ambitions, even without being offered any position. I'm ready to step down and work for them and work for that president. I'm ready to work for that president. Kunyoosha tu mambo hivi.
Do you have someone in mind? Does Jimmy fall in that category? Jimmy Wanjigi?
Well, I don't know what people think about Jimmy.
In my humble
especially right. Considering that he's been an active participant in most of the deals involving involving IMF and involving loans that have been borrowed to Kenya, and the mega deals that have been done in the government. He's been a businessman brokering these deals. So Jimmy would be a good addition to the team as a person bringing in expertise, because he is really smart, and also as a person bringing in ideas on how to raise finance for campaigning. But we also have other people. I'm there. We have Maraga there. We have Okio Mtata there. Hata Martha Karua atoke huko mahali yako. Unajua mimi, I don't even see how she fits over there.
It's a misnomer. I have looked at her sometimes and I say in that group and I'm like, that's an age cultural thing. Like, you're not reading the times well.
Because her only issue that Kenyans have with her is of what happened in 2007, which she can sit down and explain to Kenyans step by step what happened. She can tell them she was doing her job, these were the instructions, and she had to execute. She can say what she will say. But you see, Martha Karua, apart from hii vitu walifanya na Kibaki, they didn't kill people.
And I also say
they didn't mobilize weapons.
Likability. And people underplay the importance of likability in terms of the psyche of the people. Martha Karua has a good CV.
Yeah.
But there's a likability element that lacks there. I always say this. Uhuru, Ruto, you might not know the difference in terms of the things they did or did not do. But that kucheka-cheka that we used to see Uhuru laugh, it would permeate in the psyche of the people. So you also have to appear to...
You have to have a certain level of charisma.
Yes.
And by all standards, we have people who are charismatic in the alternative, and we have people who are not. Unaona sa mtu kama Peter Kalero Salasia, these are part of the alternative. Hao ni watu wenye kuna kitu inawaambia inside them, in spite of them belonging to other political parties. Like him, he doesn't belong to one, but in spite of them wanting to do politics with this old guard, something in them keeps nudging them that si huku, ni huku. Even Gathoni wa Mchomba, you can tell that she's not very comfortable where she is. She feels like there should be something at the middle which she can resonate with. Unaona, hata ya na feel. Even Caleb Amisi, the Saboti MP right now, you can see from the way he's behaving and the way he speaks, kuna kitu anatafuta hapa katikati yenye iko missing. There's a void. Even this guy with the Yata MP, Basil, when you listen to him, there is also something missing. Even Mukunji, in spite of the fact that Mukunji took Embu delegation to Wamunyoro, when you listen to Mukunji, kuna kitu hata Sifuna, in spite of him being enslaved huko kwa ODM,
you can see that he has an internal battle with himself.
Kuna internal battle kwamba kuna kitu tunafaa tujenge hapa katikati. So me, I'm challenging them. You see, their problem is they feel like if they break away from the old guard, they will lose their seats. They feel like if they break away from the old guard, that old guard has a lot of influence on their community and on their tribe that they may not even win their seats. But I want to assure them, if we build an alternative alliance in the middle, we will win every single seat in Kenya. Kwa 290 constituents, tukibakisha ni mbili.
So what's the map to building that alliance? Because we're running out of time. Yeah.
We are running out of time. But you see, I've been like a one man army, you know. It's lonely to have to fight this thing peke yangu. I need help. First, I need people who are confident to come out and tell Kenyans that this opposition is not an alternative. Nisikue mimi peke yangu naongea mpaka nakaa kama jilted lover ama nakaa kama mtu akona mental problems. There are people who know more about these people than I even do. There are people who've sat in rooms with them. There are people who've worked in companies where these people are laundering money. They know them. But that fear, they don't want to come out and speak. They want Morara to be the test, to test the depth of the water for them.
Yes.
Morara ende kwanza. If the backlash on Morara is too heavy.
And I think that's a very good, a majority of the populace. I'm not a politician. I'm not in a sphere. I'm just a podcaster, career man. But I can tell you for sure, my generation, same generation, everyone can see that that's not opposition. People are seeing the game. They're like, we've seen this game before. We've seen this game where we don't want this guy. Then some previous guys from before who we didn't want last time now are the opposition. We're like, this is musical chairs.
Let me ask you a genuine question.
Go ahead.
Matiang'i is running for president through Jubilee. Have Kenyans forgotten how much money we lost through Jubilee Party when it was in power? Because Jubilee is not new to us. We know Jubilee. Jubilee was in power when we lost 600 billion for the SGR. Jubilee was in power when we lost 200 billion for COVID-19. The kits, safety kits for our health workers. You know, 600 billion SGR and 200 billion KEMSA, that's 800 billion. 800 billion is 800,000 millions. It means you can give 1 million bob to 800,000 people. It means you can give 1.6 million people 500,000 each to start a business. It means you can give 3.2 million people 250k. Unaweza patia watu 3.2 million 250,000 kila mmoja enda kaanzishe biashara. So this is the kind of money we are talking about. We promised children laptops. 23.4 million was lost. BBI, we lost 2 billion shillings. Have we forgotten that we lost 1.9 billion in NYS? We lost 1.9 billion in NCPB. We've been losing money through Maisha number. But we've losing money through Huduma number.
They had better PR. Remember what I just said earlier about the psyche of the people? If I'm a guy who knows how to go to a guy, I'm smiling, I'm laughing, the crowd, I want him to mzuri. You know, people are, there's an incongruence to them joining the dots with their facts and figures. This has happened, and this is directly tied to this regime and that guy versus... I'd say the previous regime had better PR, in as much as their sins were probably equal
PR.
or worse. These guys have been chindwed PR, which is astonishing.
Sasa, skia. Jubilee's candidate is Matiang'i. So meaning he's Uhuru's candidate.
Absolutely.
And he's not in denial about it. Now, Uhuru is in business with Ruto because Uhuru has a bank called NCBA Bank. And that bank's biggest client is government. In fact, it's the one that owns Fuliza. Okay? Mshwari. Now, this Uhuru has 4 ministers inside Ruto's government, meaning they have a kind of a working deal, a cooperation. So if Uhuru has a candidate, then what is the likelihood of this candidate of Uhuru not being Ruto's candidate?
It's one and the same, eh?
Yeah.
At the top there, they're all fork a knife.
So you can be so happy with Matiang'i, but will he audit the debt? We have a debt of 12 trillion. 6 trillion was stolen. It has been proven by fact and by research that even the government can't deny.
Where does someone hide 6 trillion, Morara? Where do people hide that kind of money?
Don't think of it as 6 trillion shillings. Think of it as $50 billion.
So these are foreign accounts, foreign entities.
Yeah, don't think of it as 6 trillion. Just think of it as $50 billion. So if you think of it as $50 billion, then you realize in the international scale, it can be hidden. Yeah, you can take it to Dubai. You can take it to Hong Kong. There is some that is in Cayman Islands. There is some that is in Jersey City. There is some that is in Malta. And in fact, the one that is in Hong Kong, I know where it is. There's a real estate company in Hong Kong that was registered by these crooks. And that money from Hong Kong is what built the expressway. You know, people don't know that expressway doesn't belong to the government. Expressway is a private project.
Yes. Public-private partnership. Then you ask yourself, who is the private?
Now, recently a research was done and it was found that 6 shillings out of every 10 shillings that we pay So to this expressway goes to Uhuru related bank account company. So Uhuru Kenyatta.
Is what we're doing here dangerous for me?
Not for you. You are just a journalist. But for me, yes. Because as we continue opening people's eyes and exposing the truth, we are threatening a regime. And we are threatening a lifeline for very many people. There are many, many, many powerful people, not just locally, international. But they do know that even foreigners earn money from this country. It's not just our government.
The interests are far-reaching. Huh?
Aye, even powerful nations. I'll give you one example. I'll not mention because these powerful nations are very crafty through their CIA and other things. I'll give you one example that can show you that this thing is very deep. Do you know that there is this company that prints money in our country called De La Rue?
De La Rue, yes, famous.
You know, the day somebody tried to touch De La Rue, you know, the French ambassador himself made a call. Do you know that the president of France at that time, Nicolas Sarkozy, made a trip to Kenya just by touching that De La Rue? Because ever since De La Rue started printing money in Kenya in 1966, every single minister of finance has been getting 5%. Every single president has been getting 10%. And every single French ambassador to Kenya has been getting some capice. So these interests run deep. They run even to our colonialists.
So how does the foreign interests counter the third force? So it means this is not going to be...
It means it's not going to be easy. You see, the thing about foreign interests is that they follow the wave. So what the third alternative needs to do is it needs to capture the people. Once you capture the people, all these other people, the Americans, the British, the French, they always want to be on the side of the people. So that's where they'll put their support. In spite of the fact that you might touch some of their interests, they always want to be on the side of the people. So what we need is the people, not them. We should not look for them. They'll come to where the people are. And you see, they do very serious research through CIA and other things. So they always know where the people are. So sisi mission yetu sio kuenda kuwatafuta. Tuingie ground to convince wananchi kwamba tunaweza badilisha Kenya. Wananchi wakiagree na sisi na tuweze kurise na hiyo wave, hiyo tsunami, hao watajileta wenyewe.
Now, as we do the final lap, I want to ask, is Kenya at a place where, because Kenya is not, for example, South Sudan in terms of where we've reached politically, is it at a place where if someone loses, they'll refuse to go home? If it's that one, it's obvious, can someone still purport to say they won? Because I think that's one of the biggest fears of the people.
Kenya hapana. Mahali Kenya imefika, you cannot stay in power after being defeated in an election. You see, Kenyans are not Tanzanians. But can I tell you what's going on in Tanzania right now? Do you know that the opposition leader in Tanzania, Tundu Lissu, is in jail?
Yes, I saw that.
And there is no maandamano.
I was telling my captain that the other day, I'm like, this lady has turned out to be a dictator proper.
There is no maandamano in Dar es Salaam. There is no maandamano in Arusha. And their top opposition leader is in jail. Hebu jaribu kushika Raila. Ama hata huyu Matiang'i mwenye hatupendi. Ama hata Morara tu.
Guys will be up in arms.
Yes, so Kenyans are very active politically. Kizza Besigye is in jail in Uganda. Nothing is happening. That guy... Kainerugaba who is the son of Museveni, who is the chief of defense forces. He has confirmed on social media that he's the one who has taken Bobby Wine's bodyguard. That is, Bobby Wine's bodyguard is in his basement in his house. And there's nothing that Ugandans can do.
But I fear for that guy once his father transitions, because
I think he has a mental problem, because that guy, one day, if he's not controlled, he might cause a war in East Africa. Because he is very provocative even to neighbors.
You see, once said he can take Nairobi in 24 hours.
And very insolent. He is very insolent. So such kind of a person who is a loose cannon should not hold a position as high as Chief of Defense Forces. And it will be very unfortunate that I become the president of Kenya and he's the president of Uganda. Because then I don't know how our relationship will be.
Who are your allies? Because during the movement, we had... people were putting you in the same vein as someone like Caswell. Is that someone you still talk to?
I talk to Caswell. I even talked to him yesterday.
How is he doing?
Ako sawa. No, the reason I talk to Caswell is because Caswell just made one mistake and everybody deplatformed him. We never stopped to think that, you see, this is a young upcoming leader And making mistakes is part of the journey. That he will make mistakes and we should be ready to forgive those mistakes so that he can retrace his path. We are forgiving politicians for very bad things, but we don't want to forgive Caswell for just greeting William Ruto Jaman.
And he said it here, and that's one thing we're unfair, because he said it here. Anyone, you said you were called by the president. Anyone, if Ruto walked in here, even me, even him, there's a reverence you give. This is the president.
It's just respect to the head of state. It doesn't mean we've joined his camp.
He said he bowed and it was almost his body. It's the natural. The same way if you meet your father-in-law, not even a president.
Hiyo ya kubao nayo hapana.
You said it was
bowing, you see, this is not a kingdom. William Ruto is not a king.
But remember, we're victims or people of 844. This is not.
Hiyo hapana.
It might have not even been intentional.
Hiyo ni kusimp. And simps will see dust. Hiyo ya mambo ya kubao, hiyo hata mimi ni best yake. Nimwambie mambo ya kubao hapana. Just look him straight in the eye, give a firm handshake. End of the story. Mambo ya kubao, hiyo ni too much reverence. Hiyo karibu unalala sasa chini. You want to lie prostrate.
This has been such...
To someone who has stolen public funds, killed Gen Zs, that was a very bad show. For the optics hapana.
It didn't look good.
It looked terrible. Hiyo picha hiyo itamcost kisiasa. Lakini, this is what I'm telling Kenyans. Forgive that gentleman. Didmas Baraza shot somebody in the head. There is a family crying. Somebody died. And he's the leading candidate to be Governor Bungoma. So if you've forgiven this guy for killing... I mean, Aisha Jumwa, the CS, she just shot she was on a murder case the other day. Yeah? And you've forgiven. You forgave Maina Nganga for slapping someone. He even bought the buyer suit. That's assault under our law. Under our law, assault, you know? You people have forgiven people for very big things. So how are you unable to forgive a Caswell for just greeting the president? Because from the way I talk to Caswell, it's like he has discovered his mistake. And you see, when somebody discovers their mistake, it's not good to load them with anger. Because these are young people. Si ati wako na experience mrefu ya siasa ya miaka 10 ama 20.
You think ODM was
they
a
are
blunder?
learning.
Joining ODM Youth League was a blunder.
Me, I don't see anything in politics as a blunder. I see it as a learning experience. You see, I told Caswell, what he is doing in ODM now, I did it 7 years ago with kina Babu Owino. I was with Babu Owino, kina Steve Mbogo, tulikuanga huko ODM. Hii shughuli anataka kufanya sahi ati he is good to recruit youth to ODM. We did it. We already learned our lesson, and even Babu is on his way out of ODM. So, uwezi ona sisi vijana wenzako tunatoroka ati wewe una run in. You see, we are running out. Sasa unakimbia ndani kwenda kucheka ati kuna nini huko.
So they do stifle young potential.
Sana. It does kill young potential inside ODM, and it also teaches you very bad politics. It teaches you violence. You know, ODM, they really, even their primaries are very violent. Their style of politics. If it's ODM, we can be holding this podcast and people come in and they break the cameras and they hit us with the mics. You see, that's not how we do politics. Politics, you convince someone by reason that my idea is better than yours. So that then the better idea gives way. Okay? This idea gives way to a better idea. So I think going to ODM was a mistake, but if he has discovered his mistake, he should be forgiven, akuje asaidie mahali anaweza kama akona uwezo wa kusaidia.
Now, we've had an amazing conversation. As we land the plane, that's an analogy I like to use. That's also to get the NIS and the CIA off my case. Let's end on a lighter note. There's been a proverbial conversation happening on social media. This has nothing to do with politics. We've completely switched gears. They are saying 100 men versus one gorilla. I want to know where you stand. 100 men versus one gorilla in a fight. Who wins? I don't know if you've seen this happening on
100 men versus one gorilla. Yes. 100 men will win.
Expound on that.
Because of brain. You see, war is not just about strength. It's also about intelligence. The intelligence of human beings is more than the intelligence of a gorilla. Human beings can innovate. And that is why I tell even stronger and big-bodied people not to get into fights with children thinking that they will win. A child can hit your eye with a stone and you'll never see again. So never underrate the power of people united. And also, strength is not everything. In fact, intelligence is more strength than physical strength.
Fantastic. Couldn't have said it better. Anything you'd like to tell my fans before we close?
All I can tell the young people of this country is you are not safe with the corrupt government. You're not safe with the crooked opposition either. The moment is calling for an alternative voice. Don't fear to stand up and fight for what is yours. And don't just see yourself as voters. See yourself also as the leaders you're looking for. The kind of leadership you're looking for, you may not find it in the kind of leaders you're looking at. You may find it in yourselves. So now that you'll find this leadership in yourself, be ready to be members of parliament. We want a parliament of 346 MPs. We want 300 to be Gen Zs or millennials, young people with vision wanting to change this country. Because parliament is the one that has the power to impeach a cabinet secretary, to impeach a president, or even to audit debt, even to audit the budget. So please, stand up for these positions. Participate as leaders. Wawili, watatu, 10, 20, 100 wakiponyoka, we have saved our country from where it was. And to all those young people that will get opportunities to be leaders, don't embarrass us. Don't put us through embarrassment. There's a time when there was a very big movement for women to get into leadership. But after we've had, the kind of women that we have now and the kind of things they are doing, like Susan Kik and the rest, people kind of Karen Nyamu, people are kind of losing faith. So as youth, we should not put ourselves in that position where young people have been lucky to hold positions of governance also become as corrupt as the old guard. So then everybody loses faith even in young people. Stand up, contest for these positions, and do not afraid to lack finance or campaign money. You can raise this money even from the public.
Talk about that. In fact, that's a very important, very important. You did some simple math for the masses. You said if 15 million people raise 100 bob.
They kept asking me.
We have 1.5 billion. But what if you're transparent about it, where everything can be seen being collected? You can even collect it through this platform. Of course, I'm joking. No, but if you're collecting 1.5 billion from 15 million people.
It's 1.5 billion. And people ask me, if you have 15 million people, then why do you need to raise the funds? But the truth is that apart from having the votes, there's a lot that goes into an election. There's election agents. There's campaign material and branding. There's movement. Movement in itself is very costly.
Mobility, yes.
Yes, mobility. There's media. Media in terms of not just coverage, but also even making the appearances, the preparation that you need to do. You need to set up a tallying center. This tallying center, you can't just have these people work for free. And even if they are working for free, they'll need to take lunch or take tea. You'll need to have running internet and running power so that then you can collect results from all over the country and tally your own results. So those who are asking what's the 1.5 billion for if you have 15 million, is that elections are expensive and they are very resource intensive and there's logistics involved. Even to mobilize these voters that you have to come out and vote, or even to protect their votes, there's some logistics that goes into it in agents and many other things. There are professionals that need to be hired to draw your economic agenda, to provide advice, to every single thing. So you can have volunteers, yes, but you need even the facilities to host the volunteers where they'll be coming to assist you with this. You need printing material, you need internet, you need devices. At some point you need cameras, mobile phones and other things, or vehicles. You need to maintain the vehicles, they need to be fueled. So there is those logistics. That's why elections are expensive. However, to come back to your story, the story of campaign financing is something we must change if we want to give opportunities to leaders of integrity to rise. We must be confident and shameless about it. We need to take away the shame from begging. We need to take away that shame. If Donald Trump, a billionaire, still asks the public to finance his campaign, don't be ashamed of asking for resources, because that's the only way a person who has no job, has no business, can become an MP. We have to resource them. And even if it is not cash, we can give them resources in terms of, you can give them your space in your compound to host guests. You can give them a tent and chairs if that's what you have. You can volunteer your energy and say, mimi kwa event yenu fulani launch ya party, mi nitakuwa tu security. Mi munipe tu reflector, nitasaidia kucontrol watu. So even energy, time, labor, and resources and space is also a resource in itself because you'd have spent money on it or giving them a vehicle and fueling it for them. So young people must start seeing campaign financing differently. They must know that the kind of leaders they want was expect pesa ya bure. Look, if Sakaja spent 400 million to be governor in Nairobi, the salary of a governor is 1.5 million. In a year, hiyo pesa hata even in the 5 years haipiti milioni 100, yet he spent 400 million. Where do you expect him to cover the balance from? From theft. Ruto spent 8 billion. The salary of a president is maybe 2 million, ikiongezwa allowance ifike 3 million. 3 million times 12 is 36 million in a year. Hata ukiweka 5 years haifiki hata 1 billion moja, and he spent 8 billion. So if that is what he spent from Cherargei's own words, because we expect that he's telling us what it is the true, figure, then you should know that these people are not spending this money because they care about you. They're spending this money because they hope to recover it.
An investment.
Sasa wewe ukikaa hapo unafurahia pesa ya mwanasiasa, unasema mwesh umekam maana tuko tu 10, tuko tu 10, tuko tu 20, tuachie tu zetu, wewe uendelee, sisi tuko na wewe. The moment you keep receiving money from politicians, this money you're not receiving it for free. I see people calling, and we talked about Caswell just now. They call him a sellout for just going to greet William Ruto. What about the Kenyans who take money from Ruto? Because if you take money from Ruto to attend his meeting, it means you can also take money to vote for him. Money compromises morals. Ni kama upate mtu na demu yako, alafu demu yako anakuambia ati tulikiss tu, hakuna kitu tulifanya. Ati ni kiss tu, hakuna kitu tulifanya. You've already lost the trust. So hata wananchi wajue kwamba even these politicians that are giving them money, not all of them are good people. Some of them are ritualists. Some of them, they belong to cults.
What is a ritualist? In this context, what do you mean by ritualist?
Are you a Christian?
Yes, I am. Devout. I love
the Bible.
Yes.
When Moses went to deliver the children of Israel, he threw a stick down, and the stick became a snake by the power of God. But the magicians who are with Pharaoh said, this is a small trick, we can also do it.
Yes, I remember. Yeah.
They threw their sticks down, and their sticks became snakes, not by the power of God.
The dark arts.
By the power of dark and black magic. You see, there is also a time when King Saul was pressed and wanted to talk to a prophet. There is a witch who woke a prophet, and he was able to talk to a dead person, and they were able to have a conversation in real time. We should not despise black magic. We should not say it doesn't exist. It does. And it does have power to those who will receive it. Not to those who will not receive, to those who will receive it. So sometimes when you take this money from politicians, you've made a covenant with the devil. Because the moment you receive it in your hand, you've made a covenant with the devil. So this money that you're taking from politicians, tutachukua tu pesa yake, hatutampigia, you should know how dangerous that money is to your lives. It can bring poverty to your family. It can bring misfortune. So be careful. Just be careful. There's a time, actually, we were very worried and we were praying in our church because of the increased cases of femicide. And I came to discover later through my information that one of the leaders of this country had actually joined a cult that required the blood of young girls, and we ended up having heightened cases of femicide. So these cases look normal. They just look like a boyfriend fighting with a girlfriend, a sponsor killing a girlfriend, but there is something behind it.
Are you saying we have politicians actively, of course we hear these things, Freemasons,
of course,
Illuminati, the mainstream ones that we know.
We have politicians, top ones, top at the top, involved in cults. Very deep cults. So don't underrate. Your fight is not just against flesh and blood, as the Bible says, but against principalities and spirits of the... Don't take this lightly. This is not a joke. Poverty itself is a spirit, is a demonic spirit. And it has captured and enslaved people. Do you know that poverty is a mentality? If you give a poor man, if a rich man gives a poor man who has decided poverty in their mind, 1 billion today, the 1 billion will still circle back to the rich man.
Because of their warped mentality.
Because of how they think, their mentality, how they see money. You know, I've done a lot of work with my workers. There's a time, and me, I'm not just a leader of my company or just a CEO. I think I'm also a father, and a spiritual one for that matter. I've helped people stop addiction in my company. I've helped people stop masturbation. I've helped people stop a lot of things by just talking to them, encouraging them, and this and that. Because when I was just beginning my company, you know, I used to ask my workers, nimekulipa jana. And you know, my workers are paid very well. More than most Kenyans, by the way. Unajua Wakenya wanadharau kazi ya mafundi. My fundi, some of them earn even up to 20,000 a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
By Kenyans now, that's quite a bit of money.
Well, up to 20K a week. Per month, wapata 80. The hardworking ones, they make up to 20, some 15, some 10, some make 2,000 because they are lazy. In a way, because me, you know, I don't pay salary, I pay labor for every single item you do. So, I used to ask my fundis, nimekulipa 7,000 jana. Imeenda wapi?
Leo unaniomba fare.
Napata mwingine alibet aviator. A whole 7,000 alibet aviator. Mwingine alifanya sijui nini. So I came to ask them someday, you know, just a fatherly conversation. What do you people think about money and savings? And one of them told me that unajua boss, hatutakangi pesa ya jana na ya leo zipatane kwa mfuko. Zikipatana kwa mfuko zitapigana.
Wow, that sounds like a very warped way of thinking about finances.
But if the money of yesterday and the money of today meet in the pocket, they are going to fight. So when I receive money, I must spend all of it.
Mostly on vices like betting.
So I started a chama for my workers where I deduct directly from the money I'm supposed to pay you 1,000 bob. Na naweka kwa chama. Na kila wiki kuna mtu anapewa 40,000. And that 40,000, we want to know what you did with it. People went home and built houses. I didn't know that you can build a house with 100,000. Mtu anaenda nyumbani, ananunua mabati kidogo, anajenga nyumba hata kama ni ya matope. Kuna style wako nayo siku hizi.
Yes.
Wanaweka wire mesh, wanajenga nyumba ya matope, alafu wanapiga plaster juu.
Wow.
Na wanaweka mabati.
100 Gs.
Alafu wanaidecorate, it looks very nice. Yeah? Very cheap. Haraka. I saw people buying cows. Yuko jamaa nilienda kwao sadly they had a funeral. He was one of my workers. Nilipoenda kwao ananionyesha hii ng'ombe ni yangu, hii ndume ni yangu, hii hata iko na ndama saa hii pia inanyonyesha. I was like, kumbe watu wameanza kujiendeleza. Mtu anapatwa na misfortune, naenda kumtembelea kwake, anapata yes, at least you are a carpenter but you have sofa sets, you have a TV, umejipanga. Sasa mwingine ni carpenter lakini hata kiti kwake hana, anakalia kibuyu.
So it's all about vision, mentality.
It's all about mentality. So let's change our mentality, how we see money, how we interact with money, and also governance and leadership. Let's not despise. Kijana mwenzako akiinuka, don't pull them down. For example, if we have maybe Mabonga running in Kimilili, I have no point pulling him down. I'm not running in Kimilili. In fact, I need his support.
Yes.
Okay? If we have Bernard Kavuli running in Mwingi North to be an MP, there's no point of me ridiculing him all the time on social media, trying to pull him down, and I'm not running in Mwingi. In fact, I need the people of Mwingi to vote for me. So that's why you don't see me engaging in banter, in spite of the fact that I get provoked by all manner of tweets and this, and they say nasty things, and the expectation will be I go and look for harsh words to pelekane. Unaonanga ile kushuka na yeye, nishuke na yeye. I don't think I need to demonstrate to people that I'm smart.
Can we expect you on the ballot for sure? 2027?
For sure in 2027 I'll be at the ballot, because since independence we've not had a young candidate on the ballot, so nobody can claim to know that a young person will fail at the ballot. You can't tell me I'll fail and it is untested. Let me test it. Let us see for sure whether it happens so. And I believe by just being on the ballot, even if I don't win, but just being there are many, many young people that will come out of their shells and be very inspired to do very great things, not just in politics, but even in business. Kuna watu wataangalia kitu waseme, kumbe bana watu wanaweza tokea na wafanye kitu. People will come and do things.
Ladies and gentlemen, couldn't have said it better. What a privilege it's been. I've really enjoyed that conversation. Yeah. Morara Kebaso. It's been a real pleasure, man.
Thank you
so much for coming.
Appreciate
I
it.
look forward to having you on, and even as your political career
Anytime.
progresses.
Even sometimes, to talk about politics, just come and talk about family.
Yes.
Yeah, I would like you to invite me someday. You come talk about young people getting into families and relationships.
Okay.
We can come and talk about the youth and their challenges, addictions, gambling, and selling kidneys. We can always have subjects from time to time.
You have an open
spare
invite.
time and come.
You have an open invite.
Asante.
Now that you've come, anytime you want to come have
Thank you.
engagement, you're most welcome. It's been
Asante.
a pleasure. Every other time with Eric, Morara Kebaso, it's a wrap.